If you're interested in creating and selling planners, then please watch this video before you start because I want to save you the headache. I want to help prevent you from making the same mistakes that I made when I first started creating and selling planners. So stay tuned because I'm gonna get you together. Of course, my name is Lashawnda Smith. If you're new here, hey girl, thank you for clicking on my video. I have a planner company called Brand Planners, and when I tell you that I watched all the YouTube videos and I thought I knew what I was doing, okay? And I still made these mistakes. So maybe you've been doing the same thing. You've been watching YouTube videos or you've been doing your research and you're like, okay, I think I know what I need to do, but let's just make sure that you know about these things so that you don't fall into the traps that I fell into. One, do not order too much inventory when you are first beginning. Now, this is definitely vital if you have a small community, or maybe if you don't even have a community right now. If you have like a small following on social media or online, it's easy to be like, oh, well, once I do my promotions, you know, the orders are just gonna come in. Wrong. Wrong. Okay, do not order too much inventory. I know when I started, first of all, I'm gonna get into another tip later on. I had too many planners at the very beginning. And so the reason why I ordered too much inventory is because I had to order inventory for all the planners that I was releasing at the same time. So what I would advise you to do instead is do pre-orders. I don't know why I didn't do pre-orders, and I feel like I caught myself doing pre-orders, but I really didn't do it the way that you're supposed to do it. So with pre-orders, you basically get people to pre-order before you order your inventory. The purpose of the pre-order is to help prevent you from having too much inventory. If this is your very first time creating planners and journals, this is very important because you don't know what they're gonna like. I personally like all my little planners, okay? I like all my planners in my journals, but you have to allow your audience to tell you what they like. And it took for me to release my planners to realize and figure out which planners were gonna do really, really well, which planners were just gonna absolutely tank, and the pre-orders will help you do that. So please make sure that instead of ordering your inventory up front, release pre-orders. I would say if you're gonna do that, allow pre-orders to be for at least 2 weeks to a month, especially if you have a smaller audience. If you have a bigger audience, you may be able to get away with like 7 days or maybe 2 weeks. But if you are working with a smaller audience, give them at least three weeks because you want to get used to how to market these planners for one. And then two, you're going to give people the opportunity to learn more about your planners and pre-order. The second mistake I want you to avoid is not beta testing your planners and journals. So journals is a little different because if you're just doing like low content where it's just gonna be like line paper or something like that, you don't really gotta test that out. But if you're doing like a planner or something where almost each page is different, like this one, for example, this one has a lot of different pages, like with different categories. Please allow someone to test out your planners and your journals, especially if you haven't even tested it out before. I ran into like most of my planners actually dropped something. Most of my planners luckily ended up doing well, but I did have one planner that once I started playing around with it, I realized I was like, this isn't really giving what I wanted it to give, and I had already ordered inventory for it, so I'm still sitting on that inventory to this day because it's not as functional as I would have liked for it to be. So make sure you get real feedback from people who were actually used planners. Like, don't just give it to your cousin Pookie and think that Pookie is going to give you a fair, feedback on your planner. You really need to give it to people who actually use planners or someone who actually will benefit from the type of planner or journal that you're creating, and give them maybe about 2 to 3 weeks to kind of do a test run through it and then get feedback from there before you even start your pre-orders or anything like that, because you may need to make adjustments. You may need to like start from scratch. I hate to say that, but you need to have that real feedback so that you can know if this is a functional planner and if people are really going to like it. The third mistake that I don't want you to make is launching two crickets. This is like every business owner's nightmare. And this is every business owner's fear. Like, okay, I know my audience is small, but for some reason we feel that miraculously we're just gonna get this big audience that's just gonna show up and just be like, oh my God, girl, I want this planner, get it, like I can't wait to purchase this, da 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 da. Do not launch to crickets. If you know that you have a very small audience, allow yourself the time to build your audience, the people that will actually benefit from your new products before you do your pre-orders. I would even advise you to build your audience before you start working on the planner. That's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm working on building my YouTube channel because I want to release some new planners. And before I start creating the content for these planners, I'm like, girl, get your audience together first. Get your audience together. And this is really, it really comes down to a numbers game. And I actually have in this planner, I'm gonna show you real quick, like a social media tracker, right? This is my social media content planner. And what I've been doing is I've been using my own personal social media tracker, and I've been watching my audience numbers grow. So I want to make sure I hit a certain number before I start releasing anything new. And I want to make sure that it's the right people that will benefit from what I'm going to be launching. So that's what I would recommend for you. If you don't have an audience yet, or if you have a very small audience, then work on building your brand and your audience before you even start creating the planner, because you don't want to create the planner and then you don't have the audience to purchase the planner, if that makes sense. The fifth mistake I want you to avoid, and I am still struggling with my future launch with not doing this. Do not launch too many planners and journals at one time. If you are a creative like me, I know it is probably like killing you to want to launch multiple planners and journals at one time. You have multiple ideas and you're like, oh, I need to create one for this, I need to create one for that, I need to create one for this. Let me tell you why you don't want to do this, especially at the beginning stages. What I learned with having, like, I think I launched with 4 or 5 planners at the very beginning of my planner business, you stretch yourself thin when it comes to marketing. So the moment you stop marketing one, this one tends to fall off while you are pursuing marketing on this one. And if you're not used to marketing planners and journals at the beginning stages anyway, then you're gonna struggle because you haven't figured out you haven't built up your momentum in reference to how to market each planner properly. And so you're gonna be trying to throw out this one day, and then you're gonna be trying to throw out this one day, and then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this one, let me throw out this one. And it's just gonna seem all over the place, especially if they are targeting different people. So what I would recommend is, and I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to y'all, start with one. Get the sales coming in with that one, almost like on autopilot, whether you're running ads or whatever your marketing strategy is, get this one running at a really good pace, and then launch the next one. This will prevent you from stretching yourself too thin, and this will also prevent you from not being able to learn your marketing for each planner and like not giving each planner the due diligence to even do well in the market because you're not able to spend enough time on it. Another thing that I want to talk about is not ordering samples. So I personally knew to order samples, but I just want to throw this out here because it could be easy when you see like the digital version of your planner. You could be like, oh yeah, looks great. It shows you the preview with whatever printing company that you're going with. It'll show you what it's gonna look like in a digital format. But I'm telling you, it's something about getting that planner and you flipping through it in person. You are going to find mistakes. And if you skip the sampling part, then you are essentially selling a planner that has tons of mistakes. Is going to lower the credibility in your space. It's going to make people kind of side-eye you like, girl, you ain't catch this error right here. So order the samples. Normally the samples are cheaper than the actual cost of the planner, depending on what company you use. But I'm telling you, like when I was doing my planners, I literally had to order multiple samples because each time I got my new sample, I found another mistake. Another bonus tip with the sampling part is have more than one person look over the planner, because you're going to be so used to looking at the content that's in there, you're going to overlook mistakes. Something that someone else will find very easily because it's their first time looking at it. So just make sure you make that step, because You don't want to order like 25, 30 planners or however many you plan on ordering, and then you realize, oh snap, this one is spelled wrong. And now I got 25 planners or 50 planners with this word spelled wrong. You don't want to do that to yourself. Another thing that I want to talk about is having a P.O. box. So I didn't realize how important it was to have a P.O. box until I had my first order. So I got a P.O. box, but I was using Shopify and I didn't realize that it was not attached to my Shopify, and it was like a technical error. But what you don't want to happen is, especially if you're running your business in your house, you don't want your return address to be your physical address. You want it to be some type of P.O. box, because what will happen is whoever's ordering from you, if you've never sold physical products before, they're gonna know where you live. And we don't want that, okay? Because people crazy. So make sure you have a P.O. box. You can get one for like, well, when I got mine, it was a while ago. So when I got mine, it was like $50 for 6 months, give or take. I don't know how much it is right now, but you can get it pretty cheap. But this is like, you want to have a P.O. box because you don't want people knowing where you stay. And that way, if someone has to do a return or something for some reason, then it goes to your P.O. box versus going to your house. And then it keeps people from knowing where you live. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is choosing the cheapest option. You want to choose the option that is going to be realistic for how someone is going to use your planner or journal. And let me explain what I mean by that. So I find that a lot of people are big on using Amazon KDP. I know you're probably thinking it, and I'm going to call you out. And that's okay. I like Amazon KDP depending on what kind of planner or journal you are creating. You want to make sure you think about the user experience whenever you are choosing your printing company, because for example, with this planner, it's going to be certain pages that you're going to want to kind of stay on, and you're going to want to have this type of binding versus having the paperback binding. And where's my paperback? So like, for example, this one was printed with Amazon KDP. So this is considered the paperback, and this is really good for like a workbook style type of product, or sometimes you can even use this as like a journal, like if you're doing like an affirmation journal or something like that, because they can flip to the page that they want to go to, do their little stuff, they can close it and come back to it when they want. But if you are creating something like a productivity planner where this is something they're going to be using daily or weekly, and they're going to be looking at it on multiple times out throughout the day, then you want to have a spiral bound, because they're probably going to stay on that same page throughout the day, and they're going to want that easy access to like just flip and stay on that page. So although you can get like your planner or journal created cheap with Amazon KDP, just keep in mind the user experience, because for me, I'm a planner user. So if I see that the binding is not ideal for me for what I want to use it for, I'm not going to purchase it. So you want to keep that in mind with your audience and your customers as well. Now, I know that was a lot. Let me know in the comment section if you felt like you were going to make one of the mistakes that I mentioned in this video, because I'm telling you, I wish that I would have knew about these things before I ordered my first set of planners and before I actually like launched and started selling my planners. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you are still watching, then you are the real MVP. Make sure you hit subscribe for good vibes, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.